Tout à fait. Yo matin tout n'a pas ni mais nous pieds nous tout senti nous tout marre là pour venir là pas nous descendre pour journaliste pas ouais. Dépendant yo retire pour journaliste pas ouais. Parce que ça fait en cachette a fait. Ça vous fait?
Nous marre pas nous.
Yo marre ni mais nous ni pieds nous ni senti nous. Enchaîner nous ni pieds nous mais nous. Bon pas rien dans pour monde même dans pour bête. Dans pour bête. On gagne 8 jours en prison, 8 jours presque pain m'a manger. Rien encore.
All right, so it was a scene that we saw, anyway, well, that I saw, easily resembling that of a slave and master. The world was shaken when photos surfaced showing the inhumane treatment of Haitian refugees seeking asylum in a quote-unquote safer space, being the United States. We've invited international law attorney Marlon Hill with us this morning. We should also have a member of the We Reach Foundation, Lex Pierre, both based in Florida. But let me start with Mr. Hill. Good morning, Marlon. Welcome to Smile Jamaica. Good morning, Neville. Great to see you, my brother. Yep. Simone is also here with me. Hope all is well.
Hey, Sim.
How are you doing?
Good to see you both.
Marlon, I asked the question this morning that where do these people come from? How they get under this bridge in Texas? Where are they coming from? And are they all Haitians?
Neville, obviously, they didn't go directly from Haiti to the Texas border. You have to recall that there was an earthquake in Haiti well over 11 years ago in 2010. And subsequent to that, many Haitians went to South America for work and to also to alleviate the distress that they were under in Haiti. You remember, there was a World Cup in Brazil, 2014, and there were Olympics in Brazil in 2016, and many Haitians were working in Brazil. And when the Olympics were over and the World Cup was over, Neville, they went to Chile. And even in Chile, they were under distress in Chile in regards to their reception there. So they traveled all the way from Chile through Ecuador, Bolivia, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, where I went to school, Guatemala, Honduras, all the way to Del Rio, Texas. So that's how they got there.
Wow. And they're only Haitians we're talking about here, right?
Well, there's several migrants at the border, but we're talking right now about the situation with the several thousands of Haitians there. And with the change in policies from Trump to Biden, that had an indication with regards to the temerity to travel those thousands of miles.
All right, so Marlon, what were your thoughts when you saw the images?
Sad. Border patrol on forces is something that is used, but certainly it's not something that we would like to see in terms of how people are being treated, whether you're using the reins of your horse or you're using something else. We want our people to be treated like human beings, Simone, right? We want to be treated like human beings, and being a refugee is not race specific. You remember now, after World War II, the Refugee Convention afforded those who were being persecuted in Europe, and that was extended in 1967 with the 1967 protocol across the world. So being a refugee is not an illegal status. Every person, even if they arrive on the borders of Jamaica, if they feel that they have a fear of persecution, going back to the country that they're from, for whatever reason, race, nationality, political affiliation, being a part of a social group, they have a right to apply for asylum. Right, so this is part of that international law, with the U.S., let's remind you, are part of that treaty. Jamaica is part of that treaty as well.
I read that they sent some back to Haiti. I think they said 4,000 went back to Haiti. So how would they know where all these people came from, as you just suggested? Some came from here, there. And what have they done with the other people that didn't go back to Haiti?
Well, Lex can speak to that in regards to him being on the ground in Texas. But it's my understanding, Neville, that they put the migrants in various categories: single, pregnant, with kids, families, women, those who may be vulnerable, and they make a determination there. But the migrants are in various places. They're in Arizona. They're in Houston, Texas. Some of them are still there in Texas as well. And then some of them, obviously, you've seen have been returned to Haiti as well. And they may also have legitimate claims to have been made at the border. But there's something that Neville called Title 42, which the Trump administration used. It's a public health law back from the 1940s, where you can exclude people based on public health, and based on the COVID-19 situation, this was used to expel migrants immediately at the border without any due process, right? So this is something that people are calling the Biden administration to get rid of in regards to Title 42, because that is not a law that should be used when you have a legitimate refugee claim.
It's a sad situation all around. You look under that bridge and you see the tents set up. You look under the bridge today and there's nobody there, and you wonder where have all those families gone? Where have all those folks gone? Do you think that there's a lot of politics in this, right? Right, Marlon? I mean, as far as you can see.
Just a little bit, Simone. Just a little bit of politics.
Many are suggesting that, Asians have come, Jews have come, different races have been able to come, but this is largely a black people, brown people issue. What are your thoughts on that?
We can certainly make a case for that. Immigration laws have never been equitable. I remember when I first came out of law school, Simone, I clerked at the immigration court, and I argued with many of the judges at the time, especially when they interdicted many Haitians and Cubans right on the high seas as to who gets to the border and who doesn't get to the border, who has a fear of persecution going back to their country and who doesn't have a fear of persecution. So our immigration laws, quite frankly, have never been equitably applied. And that's the argument that we're making, especially as it relates to our Haitian family and friends. In fact, Lex and I are working feverishly in terms of trying to get relief to those. There was a 7.2 earthquake recently in August. There was a president that was assassinated in July. There have been gangs that are pilfering the country. The country is not stable enough to accept these refugees and migrants back. And this is the reason why we're asking for humanitarian parole. We're asking for all the TPS, temporary protected status, to be extended, which was just reinstituted by the Biden administration. And the politics is the Biden administration, quite frankly, made several representations. I remember coming here on this program to talk about the election at that time. So it's now coming full circle for that accountability and those immigration laws and policies at the same time to be changed to balance the scales in favor of refugees, irrespective of the color of their skin.
Join us on phone. Just a second. One more question to you in response to what you just said to Sim, because earlier you said some are in Arizona, some are in Houston. Does that mean the United States will keep those or no?
Well, some of them are temporarily released, Neville. They have about 60 days generally to report to the immigration court where they can go through the due process and make their case, because each refugee, each migrant, each family is a separate case. You have no idea whether or not where they're from in Haiti. Some of them are actually even stateless, because for the time that they've been in South America, some of the children were born in South America and they don't have a passport because they had issues in those countries. So it's a very complicated international migrant situation. Some of the migrants, Neville, are also in Mexico. Several thousands of them are in Mexico.
Wow.
Many of them speak Spanish as well.
Right.
So interesting to monitor as we go along.
Lex, can you hear us?
Yes, good morning, everyone.
All right, morning, Lex. You're speaking with Simone and Neville. I said earlier, member of the We Reach Foundation. What are your thoughts on all of what went on, what we're seeing?
As you can imagine, for anyone to travel for weeks across multiple countries, for them to allow themselves to be in a situation which is very, very unsafe, traveling to countries they've never been to, all the way to get to the Mexican-U.S. border, and then the images that we saw of the mistreatment of refugees and immigrants trying to enter into a country is totally unacceptable. No person should be treated this way when arriving to a country because of the fear they have of their home country and what they're going through.
So what is We Reach doing? Marlon tells us you're on the ground. So what is your foundation trying to do in the face of all of this?
So this is something that is magnitude of it is catastrophic. What our foundation did was we went to Texas and we volunteered and supported other organizations that were already on the ground and have been on the ground doing this type of service. And the service that they do is they provide help to refugees and immigrants that come into the United States. When these refugees and immigrants come into the United States, there is a shelter set up where they can come in and they're greeted. And the first thing they do is they COVID test them to make sure they're not COVID positive. And then after that, we do the process of trying to track down their family. So we help them find their families, contact their families, get plane tickets to go visit their family and go stay with their family. And of course, provide food, water, hygiene, and a shelter temporarily for the first 48 hours that they're in the country.
How difficult has that been, the contacting the families?
Most of them have cell phones, and most of them have been contacting their family throughout the process. As Marlon said, a lot of these people traveled from Chile, from Brazil. They were traveling maybe 9, 10 different countries to get to the U.S.-Mexican border. So a lot of them do have cell phones, and their family has been expecting their arrival. But some of them have lost their cell phone, and you see them, they have a little piece of paper tucked away that they've held on the whole time with the name of their phone number, or with the use of social media, we're able to contact their family. And the joy that their family have and their family members have when we call them and say, hey, your relative has made it to Houston, Texas, they're safe, and now we're trying to get them on a plane to you, and then after that, follow the due diligence and the legal process.
Yeah.
Sir Lex, from where you sit, we're going to get some good news at the end of all of this for all these folks, you think?
I don't think everyone is truly accounted for. I personally know that the center that I was at went through about 1,500 refugees, migrants. And one example is one of them today is in Miami and is going to go to court this morning. So that was a fast process. But there's other people that have been taken to other centers and we're not aware of what the conditions in those centers are. Those are government-ran centers. The center that I volunteered for was a private center, so therefore people like me, volunteers, people who want to help, they were able to attend and help those refugees, immigrants. Okay,
I want to ask Marlon before we go. Boy, I don't even know what's next. Lots of outcry. U.S.'s envoy to Haiti has resigned over the migrant expulsions. PM of Haiti is saying migration won't end unless inequality does. Another headline here, Haitians see history of racist policies in migrant treatment. Marlon, what is the answer to all of this? Is it policy? Is it law? Is it humanity? Is it an amalgamation of all three?
It's an amalgamation of all three, Simone. Certainly we're not powerless. Jamaicans and Haitians are two of the top 2 immigrant groups in the United States of America.
Yeah.
We vote, we pay taxes, we have family members, we have mixed marriages. My aunt, Pat, she's married to Donald Ferdinand there. She's from Haiti. So it's interconnected. Jamaica has a very interconnected history with Haiti back from 1804 and before. So, what I'm saying to folks who are listening and watching in near earshot is that call your congressman, call your senator, call the secretary, call President Biden and say, listen, we want people to be treated with dignity. We want people to be treated with respect. We want people to get due process. We expect them to have humanitarian parole. We expect you to do away with Title 42 and allow refugees to be refugees. Being a refugee, Simone, is not an illegal status.
Yeah.
Let's not stigmatize people just because, and then stigmatize them further beyond the color of their skin.
Right.
So we want to encourage all Jamaicans to really use their voices to support our Caribbean brothers and sisters, because this could be us if the political situation or economic situation or the natural disaster situation were different.
Yep. Final question from me, Sir Lex. Does the Biden administration take licks for this?
I'm not sure if we could say it's the Biden administration, but we could say this did happen under the Biden administration watch, and they should have been a little bit more proactive in seeing the images and welcoming the people into the country. People are fleeing They're fleeing financial issues, they're fleeing political issues, they're fleeing natural disaster issues. And when they're coming into the country and going through such great lengths, I mean, could you imagine traveling through 10 different countries? Most of that is by feet. When you arrive to the U.S.-Mexican border, the treatment and the welcoming should have been way more proper than what the images that we've seen.
All right, you both stay safe. Thank you so much for speaking with us this morning. Obviously, you guys are doing what we would all like to do. We're not in a position to do it, but God bless you both. Stay safe.
Thank you.
International law attorney Marlon Hill and member of the We Reach Foundation, Lex Pierre. Wow.
Amen.
Wow.
Stay with us, everybody. Our diaspora check-in comes up, right?